What's up, dude? How are you?
So, Beau Hays, we're in here, and okay, so this is the very first episode in the new studio, and this is at your venue. So, thank you so much.
No,
I only could basically I wanted you on because this is your place, and you're going to be my first guest here. And so, for all those that are listening or watching, we've stepped it up a little bit in production. So, give me a little bit to get used to these nice little nicks we have going on.
Yeah, man, there's going to be more and more stuff up here.
Yeah.
Over time, right now we're kind of focused on getting that stage going in the back, but we want to beef this up and let this be kind of a creative space that I'm just interested to see who all you're going to talk to.
Oh, dude, I'm excited too because we're able to bring people in now and have a destination. You know, before it was kind of like I was stuck off in the corner under a bridge and dirty little alleyway. Yeah. Well, anyways, dude. So look, we've known each other for a couple of years now. There's so much I don't know about you. Okay. So I want to take it all the way back before the food trucks, before everything. Let's do it.
Okay. All right.
Let's go. Tell me about like Beau as a kid.
Oh man. So I'm the non-Kunas of our little bunch of owners. Man, I was born in Little Rock.
Okay.
Only child. I was big. I was kind of a nerd. Like at school, it was all about school and baseball, man. That's all I did. Study, and then we kind of traveled the country playing AAU ball.
Oh, so you were an athlete? I didn't know that. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was always flat-footed, so I wasn't very fast. But, man, I loved playing ball. Played all the way through high school. Tried to play a little bit in college. And I don't know, I kind of bounced around there too. I briefly chased that into playing ball at the University of Texas. I tried to walk on there, and I was more interested in going to Red McCombs Business School, which was a big deal. My life seemed to be on this like great path, and I don't know, I fell in love with a girl and chased her to Stephen F. Austin, and none of that worked out.
Well, okay.
Yeah, man, where did life go after that? I think that's about that time I decided I was going to be a partier.
Yeah.
And
what age was this?
Man, at 19, 20,
okay.
And I got into drinking and doing all that stuff. My life went the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was about 9 years later I met my wife Haley, working at Chili's. I kind of dropped out of college and started waiting tables. I've always had been interested in doing something in the restaurant field, and so I did that for years. I met Haley at Chili's in Shreveport, and I fell in love with her, and the two of us had a kid, got married, and that's when my life kind of started going a different direction.
Yeah.
So I got back on track, I think.
Okay. Well, what did you said when you got off track? So you were focused. You were going to the business school. You were focused. What were you focusing on doing, like at that early stage of life?
I'm gonna tell you, when I was 8 years old, I told my parents, like, hey, I want to own a restaurant one day. My dad had done some things in Little Rock where, man, he was kind of the sweat equity partner in like 4 different bars, and all four places that he kind of worked at, man, it kind of got done wrong in business, and just got them started, and then didn't understand the business side, and it ended up kind of falling apart on him. And I remember that as a kid, and it, like, I don't know, maybe it upset me, and I don't know, I was like, dude, I want to do this one day, and I want to do a little different than that. And I don't know, as my dad took a whole different path and ended up becoming a critical care nurse. He did that for 25 years, and just seeing him go through all that, it was one of those things. I've always wanted to do that since I was a kid. It's why I wanted to go into business school. And
got you.
I wanted to go focus on marketing and do all that stuff. And man, I just got sidetracked. I got sidetracked in college, and started focusing on all the wrong things, girls and partying. And,
yeah.
I don't know, man. It took my wife to kind of straighten me out.
Okay. Well, so all that happens, and then here's where everything starts getting interesting. You're married, have kids, you have one kid, and then so how do you meet? How does the food truck stuff happen? All right, so tell me how this. First off, how do you meet Peanut, who's your partner in your existing business, and how does this all happen?
Man, so back in 2005, maybe it was right after Katrina. I dropped out of school, Stephen F. Austin, and I came back here, and my plan was, hey, I'm gonna get on my feet a little bit. I'm gonna take a job waiting tables. I got hired on at Texas Roadhouse about the same time that Peanut got hired at Texas Roadhouse, and the two of us kind of became the assistant managers.
Okay.
So I was the assistant front of house manager. He was the assistant back of house manager, which by assistant it just means you did all the work and then you didn't get paid anything to do it. And somebody else made a salary to do that. We made our little $12 an hour. And I would say that's when conversations about doing something on our own started happening. It was, hey man, like we know how to do liquor inventory. We know how to do check trucks in. Like Peanut was going to culinary school, and we had become really good friends, man. And it was just bar conversation for a long time. And then, man, with having a kid and getting married and all that, man, I needed benefits, so I got all the way out of the restaurant business. I moved to West Texas to be in the oil field. That's what I had to do for benefits, and I drove trucks for a living.
Yeah.
I spent about 4 or 5 years hauling crude oil. But we had moved out to San Angelo, and somewhere in all that, my parents had gotten a divorce. And my dad had been mine and Peanut's drinking buddy. And somehow Peanut became roommates with my dad, just kind of make the bills meet. It was just good timing for them. They became roommates. And one day Peanut calls me and says, hey, your dad has had a heart attack. I need you to get up here.
Damn.
And so, dude, I drove 8.5 hours fast as I could to get up here. And by the time I got here, my dad, he was fine. We stopped in, talked to him in the hospital, visiting hours were over. So back then, me and Peanut went straight to the bar after that. We went to the Round Bar. And I was telling him about this idea that I had to do something in West Texas to feed the oil field.
Yeah.
And Peanut had, at that time, he had been running Rotolos as a general manager. I think he had gotten laid off. I said, look, man, we can come out here. We can start something. We either start like a food truck or there's
a huge market for it out there too, man. There's nothing to eat and there's nowhere to go.
So we were just kind of kicking around the idea. And at some point, I got a little too drunk and kind of forgot the rest of the conversation. And so the next morning, man, I drive all the way home. And I just remember, man, I'm pulling in the driveway, and Peanut calls me right as I'm getting home, and he's like, "Hey, man, I got it." I was like, "You got what?" And he's like, "Man, I bought the food truck." I was like, "What food truck?" And he's like, "Man, you said you were going to go halves on this thing with me," and I don't know. I had to go inside and kind of tell my wife, "Look, I kind of promised that I'm going to get in this with my buddy," and she wasn't very happy about it, but in all that, my dad got involved, so we didn't really have a lot of cash. Everybody was broke.
Yeah.
My dad kind of put the last bit of his pension up. I think we took what we had out of our savings and whatever money Peanut had, and I think altogether the three of us had $7,000.
Damn.
And so we took $7,000, and Peanut bought a 1959 Coke trailer. Man, it's ugliest trailer you could think of, man. It had yellow rims. Man, up top it said refreshments and hot dogs. I was like, okay, man, y'all, y'all get it fixed up, and Peanut wanted to get it going and work some kinks out. Then he was going to come to West Texas. Somewhere in all that time frame, I was still on the road. And man, we came up on. I had 2 really bad accidents that I was kind of the first responder to.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so I had kind of gotten shaken up and didn't really want to drive anymore. It was how I made my living for my family. We had some other stuff going on. I think my wife was a little homesick, and man, we had kind of hit our knees and prayed about, look, how are we going to provide for our kids if, man, I can't do this for a living. We made the decision to first transfer back, and I transferred to Haynesville, and we were like, man, we can just do the oil field stuff here. Well, I didn't get along with my boss very well when they transferred me here, and I kind of told him to get bent.
Yeah.
And just quit. I quit on a whim. I was making the most money I'd ever made. And I was so proud when I did, because the dude was like, well, what are you going to do for a living? I was like, man, I'm going to go work on a food truck with my best friend. And I still remember that dude kind of laughed at us. I used that as fuel. But man, I had to go home and I had to tell my wife, like, hey, I quit this job making all this money and making these benefits, and I'm going to go work with Peanut. She looked at me like, what are you talking about? She was like, at the time, Peanut had just gotten everything put on the truck, and he had it set up pretty regularly at the Family Dollar in Greenwood. And when I'm telling you, he's maybe selling like 5 to 10 po' boys a day, and he's staying out there for like 8 hours. And he's making no money.
Yeah.
And I remember the day I quit, like, he was set up in Farmerville at this little festival.
What year was this around?
This had been 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. And so, you know, Peanut is, if you know him, is probably the most likable person. Doesn't get mad about much. I mean, I've been friends with him for a long time, since '05, and I think I've only seen him mad once, maybe twice. But that day he got really upset.
Yeah.
I met him in Farmerville, and I was like, look, dude, I quit my job. He was like, what'd you do that for? I was like, well, I'm coming to do this. He's like, you don't even know how to cook. Like, I remember he threw the spatula on the food truck floor and just walked off. I mean, when there was a line in front of the food truck, and that's where I started cooking. It was like, well, I better get in here and serve these people. So that's how we started. That's how rough it was, and from the get-go. And the motivation was, you know, my wife was like, look, we can't sustain this. Like, she's like, if we can't figure something out, we're probably going to get a divorce. And I was like, look, just give me and Peanut 6 months. I said, I've always wanted to do this. Like, I just need a chance to try to chase it. And so she did. She was like, look, you got 6 months. Let's see what it does. And that's where the conversation started with Peanut. Like, hey, how do we really turn this thing into a business? We got to make money. This can't really be just about having fun. And this is how good a friend he is. He's like, well, let's do it. It was almost like we were all married.
Yeah.
It was like we were just taking care of each other. And I don't know, we kind of committed to, look, we're going to run the food truck 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's never going home. We'll just restock it. So Peanut brought his brother on. We hired one employee, and me and the one employee would work the night shift, and man, we'd set up anywhere. And Peanut and his brother, they'd work the day shift, and so it's 12-hour days, and there's just some crossover where we trade out product and go to the next stop. So we're setting up like 5 times a day on the food truck, just to try to make a little bit.
Yeah.
We didn't make much.
Well, I mean, this also was around the first time that food trucks started being like prevalent in this area.
Yeah.
They've been around in other areas and actually worked, but this concept here was new, and you know, because we're always late to the game in this area for some reason.
Man, I think we might have been the third food truck in the area. I remember there being like Lucky's Po' Boys. I remember Jester's had a food truck running, and I think the difference was, I mean, they were good food trucks. I just, man, they all had like a side thing going on.
Right.
Like it was like a side
They weren't doing it
project
full
for them.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I had to survive, so it was like, dude, we got to do this all the time. And man, we were going everywhere when we were in everybody's face with food truck, and we didn't realize it at the time, but I think we were building a brand.
Well, at that time, what were you cooking? Because this is going to come back into this here in a little while. So
man, you'll find almost all of it.
Okay,
on the
so
menu
everything
now
like, did y'all just start with like 2 products, or did y'all kind of just started with all what you have now?
Man, I think we started with, man, we had 5 po' boys, we had gumbo, red beans, etouffee, and we had a bread pudding for dessert.
Okay, gotcha.
I think that was the original menu.
Right.
Just simple food, man. It was. We couldn't do much on the truck because it was small. There wasn't a lot of equipment. Back then, there weren't any rules on what you have to do to
how you have to prep it and all that.
Yeah, so I mean, we had a flat top grill, and it was how many po' boys can you put across a flat top grill?
Yeah.
We had one little warmer over here, and I don't know, man. That was when it started. It was still kind of a party. That was back when I still drank. I mean, we had one refrigerator in there that was nothing but beer.
Yeah.
And the other one, and that was just for us. And then the other refrigerator was nothing but product.
Right.
And it was just go as fast as you can go and learn on the fly. I mean, it helped having been in the restaurant business, knowing what food costs really meant and how you control it. But I'm telling you, when we first started, man, like the key, I think, to us being able to just keep it afloat was because we were doing something every day. We weren't throwing anything away. Because, man, there were so many setups where it was just it was a bust.
Yeah, and you had extra. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
You have extra product, and you're like,
And
well,
you
shit,
gotta
I
throw it
can't.
away.
Yeah.
That's it. And I think that's where a lot of people lose money. And you'll see some food trucks start up, and I think they just try to do kind of the weekend warrior thing, and it's really, really hard to do that. If you can't sell groceries Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you got to throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
And if you start a food truck, you don't have any money.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean I don't know. I guess that's how we got here.
And so, well, I mean, there's still so much between that. So you're at that time, you're setting up, y'all running 24/7, and Peanuts run the day shift, you run the night shift. When does it start getting to closer to the brick or mortar? Not to where you're at here,
man,
but
so I guess that's a wild story too.
Yeah.
Like, man, there were 3 years there where we didn't pay ourselves a dime. Man, we ate off the food truck. Peanut slept on my dad's recliner. I mean, the little house we moved into, dude, it's $450 a month. I mean, so you can
that
imagine
tells you
what
anything.
You get.
Yeah.
It's so we're doing that for 3 years, and I remember kind of our turning point, and we talk about this a lot. We call it our Coinstar Day. So we knew nothing about business when we started. When I tell you it was all just on the fly. We didn't really know anything about paying sales tax. Like, we thought we were paying it. We thought we were paying what we needed to pay. We didn't have a CPA. We didn't have any of that stuff. And we get a phone call on a Thursday, and they say, look, like, we think you owe us your estimated tax is $27,000.
Shit.
Dude,
for a year?
I don't know how long it had been since we hadn't paid it. We were just running.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're like, well, dang, dude, that's everything. And we're still short like $1,000. We don't have everything to pay it. So we paid everything that we could pay. And we pretty much were like, look, that's it. Like, we're not making any money. We're done. We quit. The plan was go get another job on Monday.
Like back in the restaurant business, or?
Man, I don't
whatever.
know, doing
whatever.
anything.
Yeah.
Like, so Peanut had already gone to my dad's house, got back on the recliner. I think he was already drinking beer. And, man, I was driving down 20. I was headed to my house, and I was just thinking, like, dude, I got to go here and tell my wife, like, this last 3 years has been for absolutely nothing, and we're starting over again. And I chickened out, and I called Peanut, and I said, look, dude, like, what do we got to do? Like, I said, we still got $200 worth of groceries on the truck. I said, man, can you get all the change from your house? I said, I'll get all the change from my house. And my wife's like, what are you doing? I'm over here flipping couch cushions and round everything. We get together, and I remember we went to, there's the Kroger that's now Planet Fitness here.
Okay, yeah.
We went in there, we went to Coinstar, and dumped all our change in there, and it printed out the little ticket, man. It was $33. That's it. That's all we had. Didn't have any money to make change. And we said, look, let's go over to 820 Jordan. It was Specialty Hospital. And there was it was a Chase Bank right behind us. And then you had the Brookshires on Kings. It was like, hey, we'll go over here and we'll try to start selling. Every time we'd sell something, Peanut's brother would either drive to the bank and make us change, or he'd go to the Brookshires Kings and buy like 3 of whatever we had just sold. Dude, he's back and forth just all lunch long. And by the end of lunch, man, we had restocked the food truck. I think we had like a $75 bank.
Yeah.
And I called Bob at Great Raft, and I was like, dude, hey, we don't have a setup tonight. Like, can we come over there and serve food over there? He's like, yeah, my food truck canceled tonight. So we go over there and set up, and we had never made like more than $300 over there. We made $3,800 that night. God. And we so we paid our taxes.
Yeah.
And we just never went and got another job. And man, it was like 2 or 3 weeks later, man, we got, I think, our first really big break. And we were basically given a cafeteria. It's a 1-year contract over at CSRA. It's GDIT now, but it's a beautiful building, man. They got this awesome kitchen in there. I mean, it's like $1 million kitchen. They got everything. And we had done a catering over there, and just got introduced to some people, and they basically came back out and they said, hey, we're going to give you this $1 million kitchen. We're going to go no bills. It's, man, you're going to serve 1,400 people a day, Monday through Friday for lunch. You can charge what you want to. Give us what your menu looks like. And they approved it. For a year, it was really good. It was they had a bunch of high paying jobs in there at the time.
Yeah,
and so we just finally started stacking some money in the bank, and it was really good timing. Like, it was right as the East Bank was first being developed, and we had met some people with the Horseshoe that had wanted us to do something in this Bonomo building that's down here. It's right there on the corner. It wasn't even this building that we're in now. And we were trying to get investors going and get that going. All of it fell through. Like, I mean, it was like, that was I look back at our business plan on that thing, and it looks like it was written in crayon.
Some of the best ones always are, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was real rough.
Yeah.
And somehow just Rick Avery was building out the BeauxJax building for somebody else. We almost went into business with them. We didn't feel like that partnership was going to work, and so we kind of just backed off the project. And we're like, look, all right, we're just going to do catering, run our little cafeteria. Maybe we'll re-up the contract. And Rick Avery gave us a call later and was like, hey, are y'all still interested if y'all were able to do this building? And so we said, yeah. And we started renting it for him and from him. And he did the build out, and we did kind of the kitchen build out. He took a big leap of faith on us. And I don't know, and I guess that'd be June of 2018, we opened BeauxJax, and then we backed off the cafeteria contract, and just, man, since then it has been an absolute blur.
Like, just nonstop.
Yeah,
nonstop grind. I mean, everything you've done down here, and for those who are listening or watching who may not know, we're in Bossier City, Louisiana. We're in the East Bank District downtown, which is all being renovated. The old downtown Bossier City is where we're at, which is right next to everything on the river and all that. There's a few things we didn't talk about.
Okay.
So we didn't talk about the bar setup restaurant at Lakeshore, right?
Oh yeah.
We didn't talk about that. We got to talk about that, and we didn't talk about the transition to sobriety either. So I want to talk about those things. So right. Where does all that line up?
So when we were running the food truck, we needed a commissary.
Yeah.
Actually, this is like we used to park the food truck in the driveway at my dad's house.
Okay.
And so he's a block from like the public boat launch over by Ford Park. Somebody complained. They were like, "Hey, man, we don't want to look at this food truck." I mean, it was ugly. Yeah. We don't want to look at this food truck every day. And so there was a little donut shop just down the way, and it was in that little shopping center over there that at the time it had Big O's, and there was like a little Otto's gas station. The donut shop wasn't doing very well, and we had asked the landlord, Judy Bruce, we were like, "Hey, can we park our food truck in the back? You've got some parking that doesn't get used back here, and there's a pole, and we'll put a plug in right there. We'll pay $50 a month." And so we started parking it over there, and then we started seeing that the donut shop just didn't have much traffic, and we heard they were kind of struggling, and we were like, "Hey, can we take this over, man? We need a place to prep food. We need some cooler space." So we moved in over there, and we weren't going to open any type of storefront. It was just we needed a kitchen.
Yeah.
It was small, 900 square feet, and I guess somewhere in that, like, you know, we would go down to Bayou Daiquiri, which was in the same shopping center.
Yeah, if anyone is in this area, they know exactly where that is. If you're not in this area, it's just basically a local dive bar.
Yeah, it's a dive bar.
It says Bayou Daiquiris, but it's just a dive bar.
Yeah, so we would come rolling in off the food truck at night, and then it was like, okay, well, let's go down here and grab a couple beers. And eventually it flipped the other way. They were like, "Hey, y'all still got the kitchen open down there? Like, we're hungry. There's nothing to eat." And so they would come in, and man, it had like a storefront from where it was the donut shop, and we would people would come down there, and at one point, a couple weeks into, once we started cooking stuff for people, man, we had like 30 people standing in there.
Yeah,
had nowhere to sit. No, like there's no Coke machine, nothing. They got their little drunk sway going. They got their little box in their hand. They eat and they go back to the bar, and so we just started adding tables in there, and then it kind of we added a Coke machine. And then Peanut's brother started running the little counter that we had there, and it kind of became like a little neighborhood, just small sandwich shop. I miss that place a bunch, man.
Yeah,
it's we would have people walk in off the lake, and they'd have like they just walk in. Everyone would walk in the back door. They would walk in through the kitchen.
I feel like they do that down here too.
They may or may not have like just some beer in the cooler, but they would walk in with like a bucket of like catfish that they had just caught, and they'd be like, "Hey, like, can we cook this?" Or, yeah, we'd cut it up and cook for them. Like, I mean, no rules, man.
Right.
We're just winging it. So all that happened somewhere in there before the cafeteria. I don't know. While I walked in there, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and it just started like bawling, crying.
Yeah,
like we had a lot of fun in there. Like my kids like did their homework in the corner. Like I will always be like this with that place. I saw the new owners of it and talked to them for a long, long time. So yeah, that's a special place for us, just where we got started.
Yeah.
Now the sobriety thing, man. You start running a business. Like I used to drink and have a little fun doing it, and I think you start throwing, man, now I've got a family, like now I got a business we're trying to make it on, like the pressure of all that started adding up, and something had to give.
Because then it makes you want to drink more, and then it makes it hard to run the business.
Dude, it was terrible for my family,
yep.
And mine and Haley's relationship was not good. It was in a really bad place, and we almost got divorced over it. And I don't know, like I kind of made her promise. I was like, look, it's like I'm gonna try to quit drinking.
Now, how much were you drinking? That's my question.
Like
how much is a lot?
Like a case of beer a day.
Case a day. Okay.
Yeah.
What was your beer?
Whatever the cheap beer was.
Anything. Because I remember before we met, I remember seeing you guys drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon up at Grub.
Yeah.
Back in the day. It was like dollar beers or whatever.
Yeah, man, I just, like in college, like, most people go to college and they let loose and they have fun in college.
Yeah.
And then they grow up, and like it just took me a little longer to grow up, I think. But quitting drinking was best thing that's ever happened to me personally and in my marriage. And, I struggled when we were going to open BeauxJax. It was one of those things like, man, I had just quit drinking.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, now we're going to open 2 bars. Well, I don't get to make all those decisions myself. I mean, it's number one. I knew that hey, you made money here, and then my business partners want to do it too. Like, man, those first couple months as we're planning all this out, like, man, I had a really good conversation with Justin Hagler from Simple Church, and it was like, man, where do I fall in this? Like, how and is this going to be a problem for me? And it hasn't at all, which is crazy.
Because that's always my question in my head. Like, how are you around drunk people? Like, people are having a good time drinking, in a bar setting or whatever. How are you around that and not want to do it? Man,
when I say we, like, me and my wife hit our absolute bottom. Like, I mean, it was the lowest point in my entire life. And I think the thing that kind of when Justin and I were talking, it's like, man, like, you got an opportunity to be in a space where you're in the mix, man. I get to see people when they hit their bottom. We get to be responsible with it. Now people are gonna go drink anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I'll never you can't ever convince somebody to stop drinking. I know that because I was an alcoholic. But when people hit that point, where do they turn and who do they go to? Like, man, we just kind of talk about that. Like, I get to be that for somebody.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. That's been kind of a special thing in this. You wouldn't think it because, man, we're running bars, people having a good time. But look, man, we try to close it down early. We don't want all we work really hard to make it a very safe environment for people. And when there are people that are struggling with stuff like that, like, then we're doing everything we can to direct them to some places where they need to go.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, man, we just want to come in here. We want to be good to people.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm not going to make decisions for people, but I want to be here when people need it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, it does. It's just interesting perspective because we've never talked about it, and I always thought, like, I don't drink. I mean, I drink maybe once or twice a week typically. I'm not a beer guy. I like tequila. But there was a point in my life whenever, kind of like you said, and it's been over the past 2 or 3 years, that I realized that I want to up my game with this podcast, up my game with my business, up my game in life, and focus on things. And okay, you're in your early 30s now. What do you start putting money in the bank, doing all these things? Yeah. And I realized that, man, I'm spending money going out, doing this stuff, and just not really. It sounds good during the day, but then once 5 or 6 at night hits, it shuts off. And then
there's those people, and I think this is who we want to cater to. Like, beer and alcohol is not an issue for them. Man, they can go out, they can drink 1 or 2. I'm just not that guy.
Me either. Once I start, I want to keep, like, I'm not a 1 drink guy. Like, I want to have a drink. Well, shit, 1 drink's not going to get a little buzz. I want to have 2 or 3, and the next thing you know, especially if you're in the zone, you're with your buddies, then it's an all nighter, and then you can't, like, you start doing that. And another thing is, like, the people around you start changing. Like, you notice that, like, I quit doing that, and all those people started. I'm not around those people anymore. I'm around people that are, like, we're sitting here having a conversation, people like you, and it's interesting how that all starts happening.
It's pretty weird, man. I thought it was going to be very, very hard for me to be around it, and I don't know, man. I can go sit at the bar, and me and Peanut can have a business meeting at a bar, and I just completely lost the appetite for what it did for me in my life. Like, and that's how it affected me. That's not how it affects everybody else. For me, I was full throttle like we're gonna go drink 24 beers. I don't care if they're hot. And man, like I can't be a leader in my household that way. It's like I damn sure can't be a leader for 85 people on this block if I'm coming in hungover. Like I think my new vice became like, and what I got consumed with is, man, how big can we make this thing that just kind of took life by itself?
Well, literally started as 4 people in an old Coke trailer, and now you have.
No, and all that has grown. I mean, if I could tell you like where we are now, and if anybody doesn't know what we're doing down here, so BeauxJax is just a small piece of what we're doing in the East Bank. That was the one that we got started with.
Yeah.
But then Doug Rogers has BeauxJax, man, and that was the next big jump in business, I think, for both of us. Like it was the first time we developed a dinner with an experience atmosphere, and it became a really good marriage. If you don't know that story, so we opened 6 months later. I think Bayou opened, and then the building next to Bayou kind of became available.
Yeah,
and man, we had just become such good friends just in the back alley back here that it was like, look, man, none of us are far enough along in business that we can go over there and buy that property. But it would be really cool to do something together. And, man, we just piecemealed that together. We took P&Ls and everybody collateralized different things. We had an awesome banker, and Don Tubbs had talked to us. He was one of the owners of the building at the time. And it all kind of made sense and came together, and that's how we opened Frozen Pirogue.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the spirit of our little thing here got started. It was just became businesses working with other businesses is the way to go. Like the competitive way that every other restaurant does it, and it's like, and my restaurant's gonna be better than your restaurant.
Right. And no one wants to work together. That's like that in any industry. Everyone sees someone as a threat instead of as an accomplice.
That's it. And now there's this whole thing, I would think, block wide here that's come from that is it's very much the rising tide mentality.
Yeah.
Man, if we can get more people to come down here, everybody's gonna feast. I don't think anybody can come into BeauxJax and eat there 7 days a week. I lived on BeauxJax for 3 years, bro. Like, eventually you get tired of it. But I would say that's kind of become the mentality on the block here is, man, we just be good to each other and help each other and be honest with each other. And it's weird. I was talking a lot about my marriage. Like, there's a different marriage that's here. Man, I'm married to like 6 people. Yeah. It's the other owners and their spouses. Like,
that's what I love about what y'all do. Everyone's included. Like, even the other people who are in this business helping manage you, their spouses. It's like y'all are all a big family, and typically that doesn't work in business. But for some reason, y'all figured it out.
It's communication.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing in your marriage at home. It's like, if you can't communicate and you can't just make the commitment that, hey, when it gets hard, because I'm gonna promise you we've got 90 different opinions across the block on how things should go, but I think this is what this year more than any, what I'm the most proud of is like how well everybody is kind of learning to talk to each other and hash things out between the businesses. We've learned to just say, hey, we're taking a general idea. Now everybody punch holes in it. That's what works, what doesn't work, what works for you, what doesn't work for us. And it hasn't always been that way. Like, we were all new to, relationship wise with each other. Like, we're just learning how to communicate now, and now it's becoming fun.
Because you at some point you see, okay, even those who are involved that weren't from the beginning see that this is something that's not going anywhere, And so, like, this is at this point, it's a
maybe. I hope not.
No. I mean, at this point, it's a legacy thing, right? You're building. You started as one restaurant, then a small event venue that's turned into a mini bar and restaurant as well, and then another restaurant that's created a nightlife, and now you have an entire heartbeat. And then you create event venues on top of that, like, you know what I mean? We haven't even talked about that either.
I don't know how all this stuff happens.
I've been a fly on the wall for this whole event thing, like the venue that you've been doing, which has been just been amazing too. And I know that about kicks your ass.
Yeah, no, it's this might be the hardest part. Like, I mean, but I guess maybe we've been in the restaurant business our whole life, so we kind of understand or know everything that's going on. We paid our dues in that field.
Yeah.
Well, during COVID, like, I guess we had talked to the city about utilizing outdoor space. Remember, everybody had to eat outside.
That's another thing we didn't talk about. We got to talk about that, because what you guys did during COVID was phenomenal, because everyone else panicked, but you just basically adjusted and just moved forward.
It may have looked smooth, but
of course, I know it wasn't, but you definitely pivoted and made it work.
So that was the scariest moment of my life. All right, so. And I think I could speak for everybody on the block that I mean, that's what it was. It just fear, straight fear. It was. I remember they said, "Hey, we're going to shut it all down. You can do curbside." Well, dude, we got all these employees, and it is the first time in my life where I've ever been responsible for everybody.
Yeah.
And I want to say it was 80, 85 employees kind of across the block, and we handled this as a team too, man. It was the team from BeauxJax, the team from Bayou, the team from Pirogue. We put them on. Everybody went to the Pirogue's patio, and just all of us got up there and kind of talked to everybody, and we were like, look, we don't have a job for y'all to do anymore, and we don't just have the money sitting in the bank to take care of you. And man, I just remember like everybody's bawling, crying. Like it was one of those moments where, like, man, we prayed over everybody. We were like, look, this, and just seeing everybody crying, it was like, look, this is what we're going to do. Like, we're going to take our ownership structure, all our spouses, all of our family, our management team. We're going to keep paying. We're going to keep paying our managers, because we have to have somebody come in and help us do this. But we're going to work nonstop.
Yeah.
Doing this curbside. We're going to do all the videos, do all social media. We are going to cover our food cost, and everything else we make, we're going to give to our employees.
Yeah.
That's where it started. And then we came in here, and so Brian, my GM, his wife Brittany, who's our caterer manager at Chef's Table now, she came up with this awesome idea. She said, like, hey, we can feed every wing of every hospital.
Yeah.
And then we were like, yeah, we could do like a Jerry Lewis style telethon. And when we set up like a phone bank, and we had this little wheel you would spin. Brittany wrote down every wing of every hospital and dropped it in the wheel. We put this big dry erase board up. And I've never talked so long in my life. Like, me and Peanut talked for like 4 hours on Facebook Live. And it was like, hey, we're going to take a $250 catering package. That's what we're going to send out to these hospitals. But we're going to take $100 off, because we're not trying to make any money. Yeah. I said, all we want to do is we want to make our food cost, and we want to put one employee back to work. And then we're going to feed the front line. So, man, like, we went for 4 hours, and over that 4 hours, I can't remember the number, but it was a lot of money.
I remember when this was going on, it was high.
We raised thousands of dollars. Yeah. And we fed almost every wing of every hospital. Actually, we had to start feeding fire departments and police departments, like, just because there wasn't anybody else to have in the wheel. Yeah. They emptied it. And so that got a lot of our staff kind of taken care of for about a month. And I think because we then had a staff, like, and everybody else had to lay everybody off too. So the National Guard came around, and they were like, hey, we need somebody to feed all the people that are doing the testing. We had the staff. And so they gave us this big giant contract to feed all the people that were doing the testing. And it said, okay, whatever happens during COVID, everybody's back to work. Everybody's going to get paid. we just kind of this theory, and it's worked for us so far, as if we make ourselves the last to eat, man, we end up with like a really loyal staff.
Yeah,
they
I mean
work
that's
hard.
yes.
Eventually, we'll make our money, but you got to put the employees out front. Like we can't. Like we need help to be able to feed all these people. Like that's the whole point of hiring somebody. And what's the point of me being up here and saying, hey, like we're gonna make our money, but y'all can all go home. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how COVID went.
Well, first off, you gave people inspiration to, you gave other business owners some type of format to go off of a little bit. You know what I mean?
Like,
and then also, like, you didn't have to get rid of anyone, And, I mean, you may had to, but, I mean, as far as you kept people working. But we have these conversations with people, and you watch all these self-help videos and all this shit with business. But what it boils down to is you have to put your employees first, your clients second, and you last. And that's how I see it for
it's
me.
Close. We flip it like this. So number one, nobody gets paid if we don't put the guests first.
Of course.
Right.
And you're in hospitality though.
Yeah.
You're, for me, like I'm nothing without my employees.
Yeah.
And it's like another thing. Your clientele's part of that. But for you, like for me, that's how I look at it. But it's a close race between the employee and the client. I'm sure.
It's a crazy balance to keep, man.
Yeah.
And it's like. How we and I would say our whole ownership team, like I mean, none of us like went to business school, like
right. No.
None of us have a lot of experience.
And that business school shit, it's a racket.
Winging it, man.
Yeah. It's a racket, anyways. I mean, I got my degree online. I didn't know shit about business. I got a business degree. I was in oil and gas for 10 years. Mm-hmm. I knew one thing: how to work with customer service.
Yeah.
I knew that if I was the one that was getting the shit out there, they were going to keep using me.
Yeah.
And if I didn't, they were going to not use me anymore,
Yeah.
And then, so I just kind of transitioned that. And it's the same thing. I mean, it's like there's no class that teaches this shit. You have to get in the weeds, and you have to fall down a lot and get your ass kicked too. I mean,
man, people talk to us all the time. Like this is the new thing. Like we hear like, oh, it must be nice.
Oh, dude. No. Yeah. I can't stand that shit, man.
Oh, dude. Like if they only knew.
Well,
like,
yeah, it must be nice, but was it nice when I was going to that corn star with $20 to my name? Was it nice when I was working 14 hours standing in here feeding drunk people and I wanted to drink, I wanted to be home with my family, or whatever.
Man, it's the number of hours that I've lost with my kids, I think is the one thing I regret the most. Like, and I'm really happy that time is kind of coming back around where like
you can double down and give them attention. Yeah.
And it's cool. My kids are age where like, man, I'm able to hire my daughter to come up here and work. That's pretty neat.
Hell yeah.
I get to see them more and more.
Well, and then you instill that in them early too, where they're seeing all this going on, right? And it's something like I didn't experience that type of, childhood. I experienced they were working all the time. I didn't get much time with them. And it wasn't for themselves, it was for someone else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like you're working for yourself and your family, everyone down here, and all the camaraderie and everything. It's just, what better way to raise someone up into that environment?
If I could even begin to explain how much business knowledge they've just, my daughter is 11 and my son is 8. I'm telling you, like I watch them, like they have this thing, chore kids, that they've been talking about doing in the neighborhood. And like I watched them put a business plan together. Just didn't touch anything. This is just stuff they've like soaked up. And I've got my 8-year-old asking about taxes. Remember, we didn't know how to pay sales tax. and I'm explaining to them what a tax matters partner is, and they just soak it up, man. Like I don't know. Kids are like that. I wish I could learn that fast.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing. We weren't in the environment to get it to soak it. So they're getting it from you, right? But we weren't growing up in that environment to where we had that, Yeah. So it is interesting how that happens. One of the scariest moments, or probably one of the biggest disasters give me a story that you've been through, like food truck wise, this endeavor, anything. Just, I'm saying, like, break down scariest shit. You thought everything was gonna be over with, or just freak out.
I got 2 stories.
Okay.
I'll make it quick. All right. So we used to go to the VA hospital in the mornings, and we would do breakfast tacos at like 4:00 in the morning.
Okay.
And so we had this little red truck that it was a lemon, man. Our buddy sold us this piece of junk truck. But I think we paid $2,000 for it. It was a red truck that hauled our red food truck. So driving like 75 miles an hour down 20, like 3:30 in the morning. Pull into the VA hospital, and I'm just about to get there, and you got to make one turn, and make a turn, and the front wheel falls off the truck, the steer tire. The same one that I was doing 75 on 20 with just falls off the truck. And so we're stuck in the middle of the road. Like, there's no moving, and so the truck is like this. We had no money, and it was like, hey, just open it up in the middle of the road. And so we put the flaps up, we start serving breakfast tacos, and the grill is like this too. So all the butter that we're using, it's just running off the grill. It's all over the floor. You can't walk on the floor at all. I think we needed like $500 and some to get a new wheel and a tire. It was something like that. It was exactly what we made that morning.
Damn.
So we squeaked by, got to live to another day. And then I remember, it was probably my most fun day of work ever back when we were on the truck. So we started selling crawfish out of that little lakeshore.
Yeah, we didn't
spot.
talk about crawfish either, because that's something big you guys are proud of.
Yeah, it's going right now too. But we had our first little crawfish trailer over there, and we had this little walk-in cooler that set out back, and we were moving a bunch of it. Like I want to say we had like, it was like 2,500 pounds crawfish that was in the cooler, and this is when they had that massive flooding. So we were right there on Cross Lake, and the lake overflows. Like, it floods all around us. Like, the little shopping center, like, it flooded the whole front parking lot. There was a bayou behind us, so like, we're talking water up to the rim of the front door and the back door, and there's no way to get to us. Couldn't get the food truck out. You can't drive out of there. So it's like, dude, we can't make any money. We're about to lose 2,500 pounds of crawfish. Maybe the check was lukewarm that we wrote for it. Like, it was like, hey, if we don't sell it, we can't pay for it on Monday. So we're freaking out. Now, we were at my dad's house, block away, and we put our waders on. We waited down there. I said, you know what? We're here. Like, let's open up anyway. So we opened, and we put a post up. We said, hey, we had some buddies down the street. They brought like their razors, like their little
lifted
ATVs.
up. Yeah.
They're lifted up. So they're driving through the water from Ford Park. And then there's a little bridge over on the other side. So we open, we say, hey, if y'all want to come down here, we'll bring it to you by ATV, or we'll bring it to you by boat. And dude, the entire freaking town showed up. Like on the bridge, man, it's just a long line. And then in Ford Park, they still had some parking spaces over there. Dude, they ended up putting us on the news for it. But from 9 o'clock that morning until 5 o'clock, we moved all 2,500 pounds of that crawfish, which was massive for us at the time. I just remember how fun that day was, man. We had, like, you could see the lines for the parking spots, but it was just covered in water, and people were boating. They were boating in, and they were parking their boat in the parking spots. And so it's just a little giant boat, little ski boat, like there's a jet ski. They're all pulled into parking spaces in the parking lot, and I don't know. I just remember how cool that was, man. It was one of the moments, like, dude, that's could have been done right there, and here we are. But it's still going. Yeah.
Well, I mean, all that puts in perspective of what you have going on and like the journey of what it's taken to get here. You know what I mean? All the bullshit, and and it's like,
you want to know that God's real?
What? Yeah.
Just what, like what? Look at what's happening in our business, man. We're not smart enough for this. Like, I think we work hard. I think by working hard, you're available for some opportunities, but. Dude, all the little breaks we get, and like right when we get all the way to zero, man, he always provides.
But you know what you're doing. You love on people, and you put people before yourself, and that's what nobody does, man. That's the big thing, and it's so cliche. This shit's so cliche to say. You know, when you say these things to people, like you can read a meme anywhere that says something positive or some affirmation or whatever, but you guys do so much and never say no. You know what I mean? Even when you know that it's not going to make you money, even then you know where it may not be the best decision, or someone may talk shit.
Man, I came to grips with the fact that I was going to be broke the rest of my life.
Yeah,
a long time ago, and so like everything we got going now, dude, it's all gravy. Look, I still smoke cigarettes, and so I need a pack of Pall Mall Blue 100s every day. Like I need to be able to put gas in my truck. Look, I was able to buy my wife a house lit. She deserves it, man. She was stuck with me for a lot. And I bought a car, but like, what do you need after that?
No, I agree. I agree.
And I'm more interested in seeing how big this thing can be. Like, it's
you're in the position now where you're empowering others, right?
Like
so well, I mean, you have another business or a few businesses opening down here where you're empowering people to run those businesses. You know what I mean? Like,
a lot of people gave us a lot of help along the way.
Yeah.
And we would be complete assholes if like we can't turn around and pass that on. Like, yeah, man, we've got some cool stuff. I'm really excited about being able to help musicians form a career.
And we haven't talked about that either. Wish we got to talk about that. Yeah.
That's a big deal for us. I'm super proud of Casey Shaw. So she was one of our bartenders. And man, she had a little side hustle at the house, and she was making cakes and treats, and I think she'd gotten like up to like 75 clients. And then we let her kind of work out a chef's table, and I don't know, she needed a kitchen and so we were just letting her use our catering kitchen. We didn't use it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and now she's gotten so many clients from that she's actually opening up under this podcast room. And she'll be open this next month. It'll be her first storefront.
Within 6 months.
Yeah.
Within 6 months. I mean, it's just cool. It's because of everything. You're also putting her stuff on the menu, like all that, just helping someone.
I'm jealous of her. So my favorite part is the starting something part.
Yeah.
And like, we're so busy, man. I can't go in there, and it's not my place; it's her business. Yeah. But I'm like, man,
it's so fun.
I put my hands.
It's
all
fun,
over.
Man.
Yeah.
It's fun. Just like you have such a good team of people. I mean, everybody deserves recognition down here. I feel like y'all are part of my family now, and I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to be in here.
I love it.
But I mean, like this what you have going on is amazing. Like, I don't think I was at before, and just so I'm transparent with everyone, I was trying to make the decision where I'm planning on, I may be relocating soon, but I'm not going to be far from here. Yep. So I was trying to make the decision on, do I move my studio?
Yeah.
Well, the biggest part of this podcast is I do have a lot of a larger guests from all over the area, but I also have a lot of local people too, you know, and the thing is like having somewhere where I'm proud to bring them to. You know what I mean? And I could say that here because you have something that's a destination now. It doesn't matter where we're at. Yeah. You know, it's just fly in here, drive here, get on the show, and you get to experience all this that you're not going to experience anywhere else.
Hey, you can bribe your guests with, hey, they could go axe throwing and buy you. Yeah. Like, man, we'll throw them some food.
Right.
Like,
well, and
I like the creativity part of it.
And the food thing. Like, the food thing is something you don't get to experience that, especially if you're not from here.
Yeah.
Everyone that's from here is like, okay, yeah, Cajun food, that's all we got around here. But you really don't have any good stuff unless it's you guys, and that's it.
Yeah.
Until you get South I-10. You know what I mean? You don't. So, like, to experience that and not be from this area is one thing that's huge too. And, and then entertainment aspect of what you guys are doing with, constantly having musicians in here, having guys like David Daniels in here, helping you guys with all that. And Jackie, like, you're bringing all these people together that know they're shining lights in their industries, and they're trying to build brands and do things, but also able to help you. It's just a whole good collaboration thing.
So I remember when we were first starting down here in the East Bank, like, we didn't really know what this open container thing was going to be. Pam Glorioso was the city planner, and I remember what she talked about when we popped in her office. We knew we wanted to get down here because we just liked the location, but she was talking about synergy, and I don't know, like I'd heard the word, but I never really thought of like applicable ways that you make synergy happen. And I think what's working right now is that, man, you got to make it your backyard. Like
Yeah.
I think if you can make this whole thing feel comfortable and feel like it's your house, but you can kick shoes off and get made at home, and you're gonna see all your friends. Like that's the first piece to building some synergy, and I'm really excited about how much is coming now. So we're close. We're kind of getting close to a finish line for what we're going to do. We're going to finish growing out Chef's Table. We've built the venue. Now I want to find a way that we help connect all the businesses that are around here to just expand on that synergy piece. Look, man, we've been everywhere on that food truck, and I want to tell you, like Bishop Arts District, Lafayette, Natchitoches, like they all have that. They got just a sense of synergy and growth, and why can't we have that?
Yeah, they don't see each other as competition. They see each other as opportunity.
Yeah,
and you just play off each other. Like, here's my thing. Like, you have people that one night, depending on the layout, you can go here and enjoy this thing, maybe for a simple midweek dinner. But then you want to go somewhere and have a few drinks and live music, so you can go to this place on a Friday night. But then where do you take your kids on certain day, during the day on the weekend? You know, so like you have to have all that. Yeah.
Well, I think for years you've just seen people leave this area. Man, they all jump and they go to Dallas.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, I was about to do the same thing 2 or 3 years ago. COVID hit and kind of put a stop to that for me, because I was like, well, I got to shake back and focus on what's making money. But I was about to do the same thing. You know, I really was.
Well, it's just, I mean, we have our own culture. Like, people put this misnomer here, and you hear this all the time. Oh, there's nothing to do in Shreveport Bossier. Like, man, there is. If you get out and you try to go out and find it, it is here. And it's not just here in the East Bank. It's all over Shreveport. It's all over Bossier. There's lots of really creative entrepreneurs in this town that and musicians and that I think everybody's just kind of checked the box and they're like, oh, it doesn't exist. So they just quit going and looking for it.
Yeah.
And that's what's sad is there's a lot of talent all over this area that is staying here at home, that wants it to be something. And the problem is we got to go out and we got to support all that. I feel like we've been blessed. I feel like everybody just continues to support us. And I'll take it all day long. But you gotta support all the other places too. There's a bunch of music venues in town. There's a ton of little local mom and pop businesses that were just like our little Lakeshore location. You got to go eat at those places. Yeah. Or they'll never become anything. Yeah. And I don't know. That's what it takes, I think, to grow a city that has culture. I'll tell you right now, there's a bunch happening in the East Bank area. So you got Chasing Aces, kind of coming next to Margaritaville.
That's a golf venue.
Yeah, I really feel like you do that, and it starts bringing the boardwalk back to life, and it connects into kind of our little district here.
Yeah.
But man, they're building this giant hospital back here. Red River Brewing's moving over here. We just opened the new Mexican restaurant down the street. You still have L'Italiano and Flying Heart who have been here.
Yeah, and they kind of started
their fixture
transition.
They're fixtures here. And then you got a Brazilian steakhouse and sushi and taco bar coming, and all of those things put together, man, it makes synergy. So, and I know a lot of these people who run those businesses and do those things. And I'm telling you, like, I know what it feels like to work my ass off to just make something, just create something. And every single one of those businesses that I mentioned all have their own group that works just as hard. I mean, they bust their ass to just put themselves out there for everybody to come check out.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I don't like hearing. I hate it when I hear people say, man, there's nothing to do with Shreveport Bossier.
Yeah. And that's something that's been a staple. That's been a staple saying for like 10 years, right?
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, I mean, I like going other places too. I love to travel. But we got to double down on what we got here, at the same time, to build it up to make anything out of it. Yep. Well, man, that's a lot. And I feel like people need to hear it, though. No, people need to hear this stuff, man, because, we've talked about some of it. We haven't talked about all of it. And over the years of knowing you, I didn't meet you until you guys got this location, I don't believe. I think that's when I first met you guys once you were down here. Yeah, or maybe throughout events, maybe I can't remember. But it's just been awesome just to be a fly on the wall, man.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited you got some walls.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I think this is going to be cool, man. And I think that's my favorite part of all of this is just the people that I get to meet.
Yeah.
And I've been watching your podcast for a while, man. You bring on some very interesting perspectives, and I don't know, like when you were filming somewhere else, I don't get a chance to meet them.
You beat all of them now. Yeah,
I want to see them all, man.
Hell yeah. Well, awesome. Well, look, anything else before we wrap this thing up? Any last words? Anything you want to drop? Any plugs or anything?
I do have one thing. So,
okay, cool.
So we joke when we say we're kind of the East Bay Mafia family.
Yeah.
Well, we do that, and there's people that have helped our business grow from the very beginning that are just regulars. They just volunteer their time. We appreciate all of them, but there's one in particular, one family in particular. So Adam Perlin. I don't know if they'll know this or not, but 2 weeks ago, well, let me start here. So, Mark Pruitt, Adam Perlin, like if you frequent our business, you know them. They wear their East Bay Mafia shirt all the time, and they've definitely earned it. They've done a lot of things here for us. Well, they had an accident on Barksdale Air Force Base. They all worked for the gas company, and there was a gas line explosion. And our friend Adam Perlin, man, he was severely injured, life-threatening type stuff. And if you are watching this and you got the ability to go donate blood, we just ask that you do that. He absolutely needs it. I'm sure there's a ton of other people that do it. Adam was not the only one that hurt in that explosion. But anywhere we get a chance to tell people, man, donate blood.
Yeah.
We will have something coming up Memorial Day weekend. We're going to call it Mafia Fest. It's going to be a benefit for him as well. It'd be really cool if y'all come out on the 28th. We're going to put music out all day, and it's free. But we're asking for $5 donations, and every bit of that will go to the Perlin family. I don't know. They're just great, great people. They've given us all their time. They're here 5 nights a week, and we're praying for that family. If you can't donate, please pray for them. We love them, and we can't wait to see Adam get better and get back up here.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Well, we'll close it out on that note, man.
Cool.
I appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
Thanks so much for the first show of many, hopefully, in this building, man.